States of America and to the republic for which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. So we're going to start this board meeting off with a very quick presentation. It's required for this particular grant. It's called what we call an EASIE grant. It's from the federal government. It's for the grant that we received for our Indian education programs that we offer in the district. So as a result, we have to present it out to the community, what we're doing with these funds, the programs that we're running, so that we can go ahead and apply for the grant to continue supporting our Indian education programs going forward. So what we're going to go through is what is the grant itself, the purpose, the funding, the process, and the actual budget for this grant. So as I said, it is offered by the federal government, the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Indian Education, the Indian Education Grant Programs. They offer a whole bunch of different programming out there for schools that have Indian population. And we work closely with the reservation in order to come up with the programming that we offer them through these grants. And these are just to supplement the programs that we offer in-house with our tuition monies that we receive from the New York State Education Department. So it supports school districts, Indian tribes, and organizations, and other entities to develop elementary and secondary programs. We develop comprehensive programs to meet the unique cultural and language programs offered to our American Indian students and ensure that they can meet the state requirements of our testing and their, as well as bring forward some of their cultural resources into our programs. It supports a lot of our programs in the classrooms to expose all of our students to understand what the American Indian population is about, what their culture is, so that we can really broaden everybody's horizon. The information that we also gather is submitted to the state on both the grant, the offerings that we have, and the successes of our students with regards to this grant that we offer. So it does serve all of our students, grades pre-K through 12. We have about 98 students from the Uncochug Nation that we do service. And the total grant is for about $44,000 for the 25-26 school year. We haven't seen a decline in this funding. We do utilize it all, but we haven't seen a decline in the funding for the programs. So the first part is we have to apply for an application to give them just general information of what the school district is, what our enrollment is district-wide, as well as what our American Indian population is. Then it's to hold this hearing, present this information out in public, and then we finalize that application with what is our budget. Based on this information that I'm providing tonight, we send that up to the U.S. Department of Education for approval for the programs. So this is just a quick summary of what the budget is. Again, $44,000. We do have personnel, about $30,000 that we expend, and that's for tutoring services, both here on site in the district as well as off site at the reservation at their community center. We also use that for cultural resources when we bring some programs in-house. Sometimes, as you are aware, we have the 4th grade cultural programs, middle school and high school exhibitions as well. So this grant helps support some of those. The travel budget, and that's more so for any teaching staff, our reservation liaison, who is traveling between the district and to other programs or to conferences in order to cover their mileage expenses. Supplies, again, that is for tutoring supplies, both on-site as well as down at the community center for the reservation. And then the other budget is things such as field trips. So each year they do go on field trips to the American Indian shows, I guess. It's a museum in Brooklyn.
Yeah, no, this year we went to the New York Historical Society in Manhattan. Like we did.
And so I think
We offered
last
to
year.
all the kids, and it's first come, first serve. So they go on a charter bus and we take care of everything with them and stuff like that. And we have the 5th grade who's ready to go on a field trip right now. Right, girls?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and a nice part of that is that I believe the Upper Nation does have a display in those museums as well. So our students are exposed to see what the nation here in St. Mauritius has, as well as other nations around the country are offering, and their cultures as well. So, like I said, this grant, while it's not a lot of money, we do make it go a long way and try to support our students from the Upper Nation, as well as expose our students right here in St. Mauritius to what their culture is, and make sure they're aware and that they can be part of those celebrations that they have. Any questions or specifics on this, you can contact myself or Miss Amy Wallace, who is our reservation liaison in the district. Our emails are there, and that is it. Any questions from the board?
How to get the overness out of it. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report?
All right, good evening, everyone. As you can see, we have a pretty packed house tonight. There's still 6 available seats in the front. It's so interesting, you watch a crowd, no one sits in front, even at school. So, but we do have quite a few things to celebrate tonight. So I'm not going to say a lot because we have a lot going on tonight. So I'm going to invite Mr. Ritchie, our elementary principal, and Ms. Jackson, our elementary assistant principal, to present on the spelling bee winners.
Sure. And I am going to ask Ms. Holter, is she here? No, Ms. Lopez. No. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. Every year at Clayton Huey, you know that we have our spelling bee, an annual competition between all of our students. We this year had a very interesting finale, so we'll tell you about that in a second. We have the winning words for you as well, but it was an unbelievable competition. The students did an amazing job. They really were a very competitive group this year. So it's our 3rd, 4th, and 5th, or just 4th and 5th? Just 4th and 5th grade students. The event was hosted by Ms. Lopez and Mrs. Holter, Ms. Holter, well, actually soon to be Mrs. Julian. So our winner and runners-up.
So we have our runners-up. I'll start with them. They fought hard. They fought hard to get these words. So it's a big congratulations to the 3 students. 2 of our runners-up. We have Asa Heisman, who is in his mathematics class. So
Come on down.
come on up. Second runner-up was Philippina. And this one is and our spelling bee winner, who has moved on to the next round of the spelling bee, is Alana Kuzo.
Yeah. Do you guys remember your winning words?
And then actually, let's see, so I know, do you remember?
You
What was
remember
your
yours?
winning word?
Rebuke?
Yeah.
All right. Any takers?
Nobody?
Do you remember how to spell it? Okay, let's hear it.
R-E-B-U-K-E.
Very good. Great job. What was it? That was the one that you got right?
No.
Wrong. Okay, you remember it now? Okay. No? All right, we won't put you on the spot. Let's come on into the middle over here. We'll take a picture. Thank you all for coming down.
I'm gonna back it up.
Congratulations.
boys and girls. No obligation to stay. We have a lot of presentations, so I know that this is a school night, so don't feel obligated to stay beyond your presentation. But our next presentation is the robotics team. So I'm gonna ask Ms. McGill to come up, Mr. Where's James? Benares? He's here, all right?
This is robotics land. If you couldn't tell, that's where we have everybody right now.
So the robotics team had a great year, and Ms. Magnolia and Mr. Spinaris is going to kind of highlight some of the great things that they did together as a team.
It's scary. All right. Few of our kids. Those of you that are going to speak to come up over here. This will be our. Okay. So first of all, for those of you who don't know, my name is Rosa Magnolia. I am the proud principal of St. Martin's High School, and these are our amazing robotics kids. I don't know how they do what they did. I will tell you that I've spent a lot of time with them, right? We bonded, Hofstra, Albany, we went through it. I learned so much. I learned a lot. Mr. Spinaris and Ms. Hoffer, the dedication, if any of you have not known much about the robotics world, you don't understand how long and late the nights go and how you have to work on this robot for so long to get it to do things. You have to, code over here. So over there, things are happening, and it's amazing. And to see the ownership that these kids take is really profound. To see the advisorship that especially Ms. Hoffer is awesome. She is an awesome cheerleader. She will help them with whatever, but Mr. Spin is like the brains behind it and really is able to help guide them. He was in robotics, in First Robotics as a student, so it's like full circle now for him that he's back and doing this for our kids, which I'm just so thankful. So on behalf of everyone here, our whole community, I want to give everybody a round of applause for their. So I'm a numbers person. I like to know things like that. Our kids did phenomenal. They ranked at the Long Island Regional. They ranked 6th. At the New York Tech Valley, which was phenomenal. In Albany, they ranked 5th. And what was, again, learning, I didn't realize this, they don't get to just play against the other teams. They have to form an alliance with 2 other teams and then go head to head with another alliance of 3 teams. So what I thought was so interesting, and I will tell you this, I was a coach. They let me be a coach. It was a practice. It was like a scrimmage. It couldn't have counted. They wouldn't have let me go out there with it. I had a thing on. It said I was a coach. And then it was very scary because someone came up to me and was like, "What's your strategy?" And I said, "Trinity, tell them our strategy." And I was so nervous, but it is such an amazing thing to see our kids who have to, you have no choice. You have to socialize with these other teams. You have to make it work. You had a team from India that they were paired up with. These things, I don't think everybody realizes it happens. And so I think that moments like this, when we have a few minutes, I know we have so much going on tonight, but I just think it's important to recognize not only the hard work that our kids and our coaches are doing, but the opportunities that we're giving our kids. Not every school has a robotics club. Not every school is able to, work so hard to fund it and get sponsorships. We have parents and family members that are very big sponsors that, bring the Wendy's food up to practice so they don't have to go anywhere and do the drive-ins and drive up to Albany, and it just really, really showed. You guys did an amazing job. I was very proud. I actually felt like I learned about the driving team. There's the driver, there's the technician, there's a human player. I always just want to say player, but it's a human player. And coach, there's all these different things that the kids really take ownership in, and the scouting, which I think is so cool. So our students really need to know what it is that they're doing, because other teams will come up to them and say, tell me about your robot. And they have to, somebody was saying that it's like an elevator pitch. You have to pitch your robot. And then you, our scouts, go to each other's tents, what are they called? Pits. And they say, tell me about your robot, and then they have to do it. And that's how they then come back and strategize and see who would we work well with, who are we gonna work. And then it was like March Madness, right? With the tournament up there, with the rock, it was very cool. So for those of you who have not experienced a robotics event, I will let you know when we're having them again, because they're awesome, and the one in Hofstra was close enough where we were able to really see a lot more of like our community members there. So that was great. I don't usually look at these. Trinity, you wanna say a few things about Mr. Spin?
So, we're gonna give this talk, but I'm specifically going to talk not about my experience, but about Mr. Spineri's here. And that is because he has completely changed our team. So, we've gone through a lot of changes over the last few years, and he's our first steady medic who has been here and has helped us really succeed. So, as Ms. McCreamy said, he started our robotics team at Hop when he was a student, and he came back. And the first day I met him, I immediately asked him, are you going to be our mentor for our robotics team? And he was immediately on board, which was amazing because we had trouble finding mentors. And since then, he's taught us so much. He's made sure that every single kid on the team has got to build a piece of robot, which is really hard because you come to the team, you're like, I don't know how to use a single machine in this room. I never touched a piece of metal and actually cut it, and he teaches you all of that. Along with that, as she said, he's really dedicated. So last year, he was one of our only mentors, and we had to stay every night until 6, 7, or 8 during build season, which is around two months long, to build our robot. It was 5 days a week, so it's a big commitment. He was there every day, so that's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Hi, so I'm Andrew. So we're freshmen this year, me and him, and we joined robotics because we thought it was cool. We got to learn how to use all the different machines and stuff. We learned a lot of new things. It was really fun to be involved in all this.
Good job, guys.
Hi, I'm Kira Moreno. This year was my first year of robotics, and I'm from East Ranches. And I was really nervous because I didn't know how to do anything. And Mr. Spinaris took it like step by step and taught me everything, and it was just really great. I love the experience we had. We made like great relationships. We have a lot of inside jokes that nobody gets. And
Great job. Good job. Yes. Thank you guys. You did a great job trying to get up in front of everybody and speak. They really love you.
Yeah, no, they're an amazing team. They did it all on their own. I couldn't be more proud. I think we ended at like 400 in the world, which is a great number. I think we bubbled out just by 8 or 7 spots. I mean, we did really well. It's all because of them. So great team.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, James. Thank you, Madison, for spending the time. And I know that it is a tremendous amount of time that they have to dedicate to students. I know that they meet almost every single night. It's a grueling process, but you do it because you love the process and you love students. So
It's both. I mean,
thank you, James. Thank you, Madison. Thank you, students, for all the hard work, your dedication to this process, and seeing how you excel at the various competitions is very impressive. So congratulations. And thank you for coming to us. Now, I'm going to say the same thing I said a moment ago. Everyone, I know that you have school to go. You're more than welcome to stay for the various presentations we have. But if you have other things that you have to tend to, please be my guest to just, quietly exit out. Thank you again, everyone. Now, the next presentation we have is the new scorecard committee. So I know that's quite a few. So, let you set up. Thank you again, everyone.
Congratulations, that's awesome. I got to take out this.
I
So, it is my pleasure tonight to introduce some of the representatives from our elementary report card committee to share essentially what they did in order. They were charged with developing an elementary report card. And we would like to share a lot about our process and our product, the rationale behind it, and truly, I would be remiss if I didn't thank this group for their dedication to creating a fantastic tool to help us communicate students' level of mastery across the standards for our Clean Community students. So as a PYP school, we are reflective and we are communicators, and those were the driving forces behind us creating this elementary report card. And when we began this journey, we really defined what we wanted to do together as a committee. And that was to assess students' level of mastery, provide feedback for teaching and learning, as well as for parents and families. And we developed some essential agreements for grading, which is to be aligned with our mission and vision statement, to support our culture of care and bias-resistant, equitable practices, to report behaviors and academics separately, to prioritize communicating accurate measures of learning, and to clearly communicate student levels with a consistent scale. So I'm going to let the committee now talk about their work. No, I'm not going to do that. So this is our journey. You can see we started in the winter of 2023 with this work, and it was a very long and arduous process, but we are finally nearing the finish line. So we formed a subcommittee of our curriculum committee. We engaged in lots of professional development about equitable practices, and these folks are going to talk a little bit more about that. We began our report card renovations this fall, and we went through a series of feedback where our committee members were the liaisons between the grade levels and the departments to make sure that what we were thinking as a committee was truly the will of the building. And finally, next fall, we hope to adopt this new report card. Now we're moving on.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Muller, I teach first grade. So our report card is really informed about from my feedback. One of the first things that we did to start this journey is the curriculum committee met, and they did an activity called Compass Point Reflection. So basically they talked about suggestions, they talked about what they were excited about, their worries, and also what they need to know while we create this new report card. And then the report card committee did the same thing, so we did the same activity, and then we started dissecting it. So we started aligning the report card with New York State standards. We reviewed about 10 plus report cards from all schools in Long Island, and we thought about what we liked from them, what we didn't like, and that kind of helped us create and get started. And then we also spent a lot of time creating a single scale. And we basically just started using language that was simple and clear. So these are some key features of our report card. It is aligned with New York State standards. We are keeping in mind a growth mindset, so emphasize progress and improvement. We are leaving room for detailed feedback, so we're going to have individualized canned comments for each student. It's in a friendly format, so it provides clear, concise language, and we're going to include one scale sheet. It is based on evidence learning, so we're going to use formative and summative assessments to help us with the, filling out the report card, and then also keeping in mind a holistic view of each student. It follows a continuum, so we'll be able to see the knowledge and the progress, through a progression from K all the way to 5th, and it's accessible. So we'll utilize it online, and it will be translated. And the journey is just beginning, so there's going to be resources and materials provided to us. There's already written guides for teacher supports and rubrics that we've been creating to be able to use. There's going to be support and professional development, so we do know how to implement this report card. And then ongoing evaluation for improvement. So about every 5 years, we're going to really take a look at this and see what we can add, what we can take out, just to keep everything aligned. And it also gives opportunities for teachers to share their input as well, what's working, what's not working. And then also family education resources, just so that the families know how to understand these report cards. And just, there's going to be tips, and this is all going to be updated for parents to use at home.
Hi, I'm Katie Phillips. I'm the art teacher at BOE now, and I'm just a special area representative for this committee. So, like Liz said, we did look at 10 plus report cards, and what we saw that we really liked was the report cards that have fewer scales for grading. So we had a professional developer come, and she said to all of us, the whole faculty, she said, if you could divide your class into 4 groups, 1, 2, 3, or 4, how easy would that be? Fairly easy. Now, if you have 3 plus, 3 minus, 2 plus, 2 minus, it gets a little bit, there's some gray areas. So we decided that having the 1 scale was more clear, easier for parents to understand, easier for students to understand. It left those areas out because now that we're grading on standards, we were able to take those pluses and minuses and put them as grading standards. Along with the 4 scale, we changed it from 1, 2, 3, 4 to letters. So the letters, we felt as a committee that it took a lot of the anxiety out of the students at such a young age in elementary school especially, and also the parents. So is Drippita 3, Drippita Level 2, so if we took that out, there was more room for discussion about having a growth mindset, being able to achieve goals further along in the year, rather than being stuck at a certain numerical level. And special area student performance. So I collaborated with all of the other special area teachers and the classroom teachers, and we decided that if we're going to grade as standards-based for general ed, we should be also doing that for special areas. So for parents, I'm a parent, and if I see a report card, yes, my son is a pleasure to have in music class, that's great, but is he making music? Is he able to understand music? Is he able to draw something more? So by having those standards on the report card, parents can see where their students, maybe they have a talent that they didn't know they had. Or maybe they could use some extra help in something like Gazette or music.
So in addition, we have our Foundational Language Early Start, our class program, which has never been reported on our report card. So one of the exciting things is that we're going to report not only on the academic side, but also on the behavioral side of all of our special areas, including class. So parents will have more information about language proficiency and acquisition as their child progresses through continuing.
And then I'm Jessica Miller, I teach kindergarten, and these are examples of report changes. So you can see to the left, that's our current report card. It's more broad, not as many bullet points, and then the new report card will now have standards-based information, and it's more informational for parents to understand what their child is learning. So these are the reading and science for 2nd and 5th grade. And nonetheless, it's just more information to know where your child falls, as opposed to just 3 bullets. And then the continuing learning for CC5 is a great tool to understand the foundational skills that each grade level is going to have coming into each level. So for example, K has one thing, and then it progresses along grade levels, and that ensures there's no overlap in curriculum too. So it's another great tool that we have developed. And then habits of lifelong learning and citizenship, we based this on the council framework. And as you can see, the current report card, again, it's not too many bullets, more broad. But what's great about the new report card, there's more categories. And with SEL being so important, the categories gives more opportunities for students to shine. And it shows more areas of growth, more areas where they are shining, and it gives parents more information of understanding where their student can work on, social, emotional, and behavioral wise.
I have a lot of problem solving and teach for the study duty. So some of the challenges that we faced throughout to develop this report card were striking a balance between comprehensive assessment and specific feedback that would be actionable for students and their families so that they can take that and do something with it to help contribute towards their success. With that came the standardization versus personalization debate. So we wanted something that was standard enough where parents that had students in kindergarten, third grade, fifth grade could understand it, and there wasn't too much of a learning curve as students moved through the elementary school. But also was able to be specific enough where students with different needs were able to be, it was able to be communicated to them. The technology cost that comes with overhauling your report card was a challenge that we had to address. Addressing, like I said, some different needs of different learners. We wanted something that was able to be updated every 3, 4, 5 years and not needed to be overhauled again. So we wanted something that could evolve with education as the standards change, as the education world as a whole changes over time. And we want to be able to capture growth, which is really a difficult thing to do with a report card that's typically a snapshot in time. We want to be able to communicate that even though a student might not be at the grade level standard at that time, they have grown both academically and in the other areas that contribute to learning over time. So as we approach the finish line this winter, we've been, like they mentioned earlier, working with our grade levels to make sure that each grade knows what success is going to look like with the report card, and that no matter what teacher you have, all teachers are kind of on the same page about what the different report card items success looks like. So that lets us start on draft, which then has led us to sharing our report card for faculty in March, the curriculum committee here tonight. So as we go through, we'll continue to update and fine tune things as we approach September, where we will put out the updated parent guide, communicate to parents via parent square, and then eventually that open house where teachers will be able to in person delve into it a little bit deeper until November, where teachers will have kind of their last early look at the report card, and we finally present it digitally at the end of November for the first time.
And before we wrap, I know that this is like a snapshot of an immense amount of work. I once again just kind of want to reiterate the efforts that not only the committee, but all of our teachers, the amount of granular detail that they went into with not just the report card itself. The report card is only one piece of this puzzle. The report card, the continuum, the rubrics that are going to align with all of this work. Everything all in the vein of trying to make sure that they are normed, consistent across grades, and vertically aligned across the grades. The continuum helped to do that, all of the different things, the facets that they themselves came up with. This was feedback that came from their teams, feedback that came from within, the things that they've experienced, even often feedback as parents, having received report cards from different school districts and things, and having like the trials and tribulations of that as well. And the feedback of their colleagues, of the community, and the feedback that the confusion that has come with report cards of the past, and the historical context that came with that. It's not an easy task to go back to your colleagues and say, we're going to change your entire approach to assessment. And they were tasked with doing just that. And then to come back and say, all right, is everybody okay? But they really took it in stride. They realized that it wasn't going to be an easy task, but it's something that they did with grace. And I really just want to thank all of them and all of our teachers for all their work. They really
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to seeing the new report card in November and being part of that process. Very exciting work that's been done. Yeah, of course.
I just wanted to ask the question, I don't know if you addressed it too, but I didn't want to have the burden up on the teachers to have to explain to the parents that like how to evaluate how the report card works and how to evaluate it. So I just wanted to make sure that we fully support that process.
Yeah, so dig in on
videos or explainer videos or key communications, or I just really want to take through that so that we're not all over it on the
So to dig a little deeper into that nearing the finish line side, part of the process is to rework our parent guide so that there's literature out there for parents, but also at open house, the building principal will have a piece when you gather in the APR before you go off to teachers. So there'll be a piece in there. We'll do a lot of parent square messaging so that no, it is not just on the teachers. This is going to be a team approach.
And the beauty of that too is that it's not just something that has to be done come September, right? So we have September, October, November until that report card comes out. So there's that a little bit more breathing room to start the school year to say like, all right, everybody got through the first couple of weeks, now let's catch our breath and let's review all of the things that we said we were going to, we promised the community, right? Now we have to hold true to that. So there's time, starting in the beginning of the school year next year to continue to work on those things as well.
Great job, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next presentation is the literacy program report.
Over here as well. We do that for the So again, I get the pleasure of introducing another subcommittee of our curriculum committee. This is our elementary literacy committee. This is a very passionate and spunky group of educators, and you'll see that passion come through in this presentation. If we're being completely transparent, this was something when the teachers came to us and said, we need to do this, Mr. Ritchie and I said, we're changing our report card. We just became a PYP school. We have a new math program. Like, maybe we don't do this so we don't drive you really crazy. And they said, no, we know there's a better way to do literacy at Clayton Huey. And we really want to dig in and figure that out. It was a problem of practice. And boy, did they dig in. I think the hours they spent with colleagues from other districts and on podcasts and digging into the research and professional development and all of the books and everything else, this truly is a very passionate group. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tu. I'm one of the reading specialists over at Clayton Huey. This evening, you will all gain some insight into our thoughtful process that the committee used to select the best programs that we thought would suit our kids. You'll learn about the rubric we used to score the programs that we did pilot and the recommendation that we're making that we feel would most benefit our students. So the science of reading, right, is the big buzz. It is not a singular program or a single approach. It is the science based on how kids learn how to read. So it guides us in best practice. This is a great illustration to show the science of reading. It's called Scarborough's rope, and it takes two strands and it looks at a person's ability to read as something that becomes intertwined and goes together. So in your first strand, you have language comprehension, where we work with students on their background knowledge, building their vocabulary, understanding language structure, understanding verbal reasoning, and their literacy knowledge. And for the word recognition on the lower strand, we work with phonological awareness, decoding, and sight recognition of familiar words. And as students practice these more and more, their ropes become a little bit tighter and they become more intertwined, which leads to a more skilled reader generally.
So we started this, as Amy mentioned, in spring of 2023 after a conference we went to. We were lucky enough to go to the LILAC conference, which is a literacy conference. And a lot of us that are on the committee were at the conference and we demanded a change. And I have to say thank you to, I don't know where Dennis is. Oh, there he is, Dennis and Amy, because we truly couldn't have done this without you. You guided us the entire way, but let us have our own voice. And you allowed us to do what we wanted and what was important for kids. That's how we started. And then this is a really small slide, but this took a really long time to do this. We spent hours and hours figuring out what was important to us for our literacy program. We brainstormed, we re-brainstormed, we deleted, we added, and most important are the things up there, most scope and sequence, alignment horizontally and vertically across grade levels. We wanted it to be flexible for new teachers to be able to do it and for students that were coming into it. We needed a virtual piece because that's the way our world is going. We need to have that virtual piece for kids to be able to function on their own on computers. Engaging, of course, for our kids, and it had to be aligned with our standards and appropriate for developmentally along each grade level.
Hello, my name is Austin Everard. I teach English as a new language at Clayton BOE. To go along with what Michelle said, at this point in the process, during the spring of 2024, New York State released literacy briefs. So it was all about science reading. I have on the next slide, you can see. So Amy created this great document with all the hyperlinks, but we reviewed the briefs, and Amy had us tasked us with taking a look at the briefs, reviewing them, understanding what the science of reading was, how it pertained to our task of trying to find a cohesive program for all the grades. And I think one of the great things we found was that there was a lot of great work happening in Clayton, even though we didn't necessarily have the best program we felt at the time. We did feel a lot of reassurance that we were doing great things. Our classrooms were packed with a lot of the recommendations, a lot of the science and reading. While it wasn't one particular program, we were doing a lot of great things in the classroom.
This was a really reaffirming moment for the committee. As Austin said, we spent days building those essential pieces of literacy instruction, and then about 2 weeks later, New York State released the briefs, and we were like, oh, we could have just used the briefs. But it was very reaffirming to know that the work that we did was very much in alignment with New York State's recommendations. So it was kind of like a nice way to say, okay, we're on the right track and we're thinking the right things.
I'm Carrie and I'm a second grade teacher, and as we continued our process, we began exploring, as we said, then we saw the literacy briefs, and then we started reviewing products. So our committee met and we reviewed so many different products. Immediately we saw things we liked, we didn't like, lots of conversation. We then, in the winter, this winter, we started our product pilots of integrating benchmark and magnetic. So as we, throughout that process, we checked in with one another, we had meetings, countless, and then we started seeing common thoughts and themes within each other, and that was comforting. And then in the spring, we started, we used a rubric to begin really hashing out what we liked, what we didn't like, and rating our 2 programs that really were the front-runners. Next slide. I thought this was so interesting because it was just an overwhelming decision for us. Magnetic really was the winner in all areas. And it was also interesting to see that K-2 and met separately from 3 to 5, and our numbers were almost the same. So it's rare to find something that makes K-5 happy. And magnetic really was, it was shocking to see that we all were in agreement on which program to select.
Enter magnetic reading. So I was able to pilot this program, and I'm so thankful that I did.
Did you want to pilot this program?
I didn't want to. I have trouble with programs sometimes. I like to do what I think is best for kids, and guess what? It turned out that it was. So, Magnetic Reading Foundations was verified by tons of independent evidence review programs. They were also rated, which we came and said we loved it, and then found out that they were rated 202 out of 202 on supporting students in building foundational skills. So another happy serendipitous accident and a win for us, because we ended up loving it, and then we learned that, so it kept going. So our foundation for recommendations. So this is what we've done, where we're going. our instructional resource adoption protocol. So we had countless conversations, meetings. Mary and I both did it. We probably talked about it every week. Like, did you like this? Did you like this? Did you not like this? Coming to our grade levels, sharing. I must have walked around with my my what do we call them? Teachers. The teachers guides constantly, and they're very small and light and easy to bring around, which was not the same for the other program. And then we were able to do actually intervisitations with the pilot classroom. So my colleagues were allowed to come in, watch me teach it. We were able to debrief and meet. We're actually planning to do it again to see both parts of the program. And then we have a goal to visit more schools that are actually embarking on the program as well, just to get feedback from other educators in other districts. We ended up doing a lot of our observations with our administrators with magnetic, because we just wanted them to see it so bad. Danielle came in and saw, a bunch. So we just wanted to show them what we were doing and engaged in, just because we were so happy with it. Student feedback, I can only speak for my firsties, so they love it. They love it. Second grade, there you go. They absolutely love it. It's very engaging. It's very developmentally appropriate, which was a big thing for me teaching first grade. I needed to make sure that it's developmentally appropriate. Some of these programs are way too cumbersome, and it's just too much for little kids, and we need them to be excited about it. And then, of course, it incorporates the science of reading, which is an extra daily bonus, along with all of the foundational skills that we need to teach beginning readers.
Hi, I'm Leah Conrado. I teach reading for K through 5. So when our literacy committee first started, we did a lot of reflecting on best practices for our students and what would elevate our literacy programs within our school. And these were the big takeaways from those meetings. And we really wanted to find a program that pulled all of that out. So this program will improve literacy instruction. We're shifting from balanced literacy and headed towards the science of reading, which is the big 6. So we've got phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, comprehension, and listening comprehension, and this program supports all of that. It is evidence-based, and it has writing embedded into the program, so the students aren't only advancing in reading, but they're also advancing in writing. It promotes student engagement, and it has interactive learning experiences for our students, and it ensures that all students can thrive, including our English language learners and students with disabilities. And this year, I was excited to show too, because I think it really shows the growth that our students have had over the past 4 years. These are our winter assessments using the STAR reading. And it shows the strong progress that our students have made over the last 4 years, and over the past few years, we've seen a steady increase in the percentage of the students performing at or above the benchmark reading level. And at the same time, intervention has decreased significantly. So this reflects the passion that our teachers have by creatively piecing together different programs like Foundation, Integrity, and other structured literacy tools that bring in the big 6. But with magnetic reading, that will do all of the work for us and really support our students instead of doing that piecemeal approach, and we'll be able to close more gaps more effectively.
So Leah did a great job with the slide, but this is like my favorite slide of the whole presentation. So I'm going to talk a little bit. I know I was going to have to give that. So this is what's happening because of the passion of our teachers. We really need to highlight that when you empower the teachers to dig in and to supplement when they feel they really need to, this is what it translates to. So this winter, the STAR assessment that we just gave, nearing 62% of our students have already met the grade level benchmark that they're supposed to reach in June in the winter. And you see those intervention bars are starting to really decrease significantly, especially the students with the largest gaps, right? So our teachers have been piecemealing programs together to make this happen. And we're excited to propose an adoption that gives them a little bit of time back and a little bit of ease with which to do that.
And this is mine. So when we started looking at all the millions of programs, this wasn't really even on our radar because I think everybody's heard about iReady. and you hear good things, not so good things. It's just I read, you could like do a quick Google search and it's all over the place. But Amy actually came to us and was like, no, there's more to it. Like, look at this program. And when we sat down with it, we actually couldn't believe how far they've come. So you can see like the journey of curriculum associates. 2011 is when iReady, when they came out with their iReady personalized instruction online. And following all the way over, we're now headed to, we're currently using the program where we have all of the magnetic reading foundations. The writing component is separate from the reading component based on the trial right now. They're still working on it and making it better and combining it. So in 2026, magnetic literacy is going to come out, and we've been told that as updates are made to the program, we will also be receiving those updates. So even if we decide to implement, like now rolling into next year, we're also going to be able to get all the new materials as they come out and all of the online component pieces that they're still building. And this is just a look at the components. You can see the K-5 continuum, and this is something that I know we fought really hard for as a committee. And I feel so happy to actually see this up here because this is the hardest part. Like as a 5th grade teacher, you see some gaps that are missing, and that's always going to happen sometimes for some students. But now we have a place where we're going to be able to go to put those pieces back together again to support them and help them. And we have alignment, K-5, giving students all the parts of the Scarborough Road that we know they need to be great readers and writers. And thank you, Amy and Dennis, for this, by the way. We are so grateful to have been able to have this program and have you guys doing this, so thank you.
All right, so this is mine. I'm Caitlin Weber, I'm a 4th grade teacher. It's been said already, but I just sort of want to reiterate, the conversations that have been had are extremely collegial and productive, and you can all imagine, I'm sure there's something that it's a topic you can like geek out over, this is our topic. We just like, great conversations, and so going into this, we had a list of non-negotiables and also a wish list, and we also knew that we weren't going to agree on everything, we put that on the table too, and we were in agreement with that. And so kind of going into it, we did have a rubric that if it doesn't meet this, it's automatically out. So we did do a lot of research. This is sort of the highlight reel of magnetic. It's a distillation of our favorite things. There's more, but this is the stuff that I think is most relevant. So it's aligned with the standards, which is really important, obviously. It's research-based, so everything they've been talking about with the science of reading is aligned with the science of reading. And right now, we know that's best practice, so that's what we need. There's strong foundational skills, and the continuum that Emery just said is so important. The fact that we're on the same team and moving together and aligned is so important, and honestly, it's best for kids. Explicit instruction with phonics, again, that goes back to the science of reading, that is best practice. Learning pathway targeted instruction, so I actually did benchmark, I did the losing part of it. But I mean, honestly, I love magnetic, and I was rooting for benchmark. So I hope that says a lot too. Like, I even believe in this program. And targeted instruction is just phenomenal. The kids take the iReady general assessment, and then it pushes out specific skills that they need to work on, which is exactly what we need for the wide range of learners that we have. Engaging text, everyone said, I haven't heard any kids not like it. When I went into my colleague's classroom to observe, the kids came up to me in the back room and was like, are you the one, like, you know, asking about this program, we love it. Like, they wanted to make it known, like, as if I was assessing. Like, they wanted to know that it was really good. There's differentiation, and it does create robust options for different learners that we have. It gives us the ability to help all different types of kids, which is, again, what we're looking for. For our MTSS program, too, so even, like, the pullouts for reading, they will be aligned with our program. So it's no longer just piecemealing things, which was a big wish list for us too. Peer collaboration, it's aligned with our inquiry and all our IB values. Their personal development, again, I was on benchmark, not great, but the support that they got in implementing the program was phenomenal, and we hope that it continues, obviously. They're very responsive. It was, again, comparatively to the other programs that we piloted and looked into, the application was very streamlined, it's very easy. You can still put your own spin on things, but it's not like you have to reinvent the wheel just to implement this program, which is important when you're trying to onboard an entire school, right? So it's definitely easy for people to get on board with. And it is a complete solution. So again, we're not having to go and get accessories. It's all here and it's all on, it's all one program. We're all in one team, so it's the best option for us. And this is our timeline. Started way back, before I was here yet. And so we had all these conversations. We did the product reviews. We did the pilots, which was honestly very enlightening. I'm so glad we had the opportunity to do that because, like I said, on paper, benchmarks are shining, and you actually live it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so different than what we thought it was. So it was so good that we got to be able to do that. We checked in all the time, like I said. And then we had this rating day, you saw the rubric, where we all sat down and independently, like the different grade levels filled out this rubric of what we thought. And we were like within 5, like we were all on the same page, which is pretty incredible. If you were in the room the first meeting, when we were totally disparate, like we were not on the same page in terms of like some people didn't want to program at all, some people, didn't believe in X, Y, Z, and then suddenly we're like all on the same page, which I think is pretty much a miracle. And so, in the best way, like you want people pushing back because that's how you're gonna get the best thing, and we did because so did I. And so in the fall we're gonna launch it, hopefully. And
Recommending launch.
yeah, hopefully. Yeah, that's where we're at. Got one more. Congratulating me. All right. So implementation plan. You've actually heard it. I'm just summarizing here, but we're building a continuum K through 5. We are investing a 5-year adoption, and this is so that everyone can invest in it. So like we can know that this is going to be here for 5 years. We can invest our time. And even with benchmark piloting it, you're creating all these materials knowing it's not even going to be used. So for us as teachers to know that we're going to be in it together for 5 years, we can give our whole selves to it without the worry that it's going to go away soon. We're going to define a new degree on the implementation on Fidelity. We did this with math last year, and I can honestly say the growth from last year to this year in math was amazing. See Rob nodding because our kids are crushing it. Our kids are crushing it this year, and it feels so good to see that. And we want to get on the same page with that too, so that we're not doing our own thing and we're not getting, the reason we're adopting this is all on the same page. So we want to make sure that we're all doing the same thing when we implement it. And we want to adopt academic reading, as I mentioned this, with our MTSS program too. So all the support staff is on the same page. We are doing, intervisitation within the school to kind of, observe each other, and also professional development, they said, would start in the spring, which would be good. And then professional development next year, we have 3 QIP days, which will probably a large part will go towards our report card, finding things like that, and then we'll also have 3 literacy days. Curriculum writing. So we want it to align with our IB, program of inquiry, that's very important to us. Program organization, this is also really important to teachers, I'm sure parents, kids, everyone too. As teachers, you have these like projects that you hold dear to your heart, and you don't want to have to, forget those just because we're adopting a new curriculum. I even had a conversation with Ellie the other day in hallway. She has beautiful bulletin boards, and she's putting her stuff on the bulletin board. And she's like, "Is this something we're gonna have to give up?" And I'm like, "No, like we can still do it all." So the program organization is really just like us picking the things that really mean a lot to us that we think is impactful to kids, things that they remember, and making sure that's integrated into this curriculum. Update parent guides. I know you're saying, make sure everyone's on the same page. K through 2, they do secret stories for morning meetings. That's something that we want to develop in curriculum writing. 4th grade, so I don't know too much about that, but I know it's important to them. And we also want to explore if and how F&P is still how we want to assess reading. Up until this point, it is how we've been assessing reading. Research is showing it's not the best right now, so we want to see what this program offers, and we do believe it has what we need to assess reading in a better way, to get a better picture of where it is at. Sorry.
Almost it.
My face is really hard. All right, so universal screener. Right now we use STAR. The kids don't like it. But we have to. We have to assess the kids. We need to know where they're at. iReady, we believe, is a good substitute for that. I think, financially that will also be beneficial for everybody. And the kids actually like, well, there's mixed reviews, but something has really did a lot better too. And then instructional support in terms of eSpark, IXL, things like that, iReady will replace that for us. So it's all again aligned in one program, it's the one package with everything. And then of course we want to talk to the middle school and see what we can bring to them in terms of this.
I just want to highlight one piece about the universal scanner because new to Center Marches this year is we started distributing the STAR reports to parents via ParentsWare. And the rationale behind that was because we really want to give parents the tools to advocate for their child and to understand where their strengths and challenges are. What our teachers, again, Dennis and I had a lot of conversations about, we're going to adopt a new literacy program. Do we really want to shift our screener and all those other things at the same time? And resoundingly, the answer was yes, change it all at once, because the information that the teachers are able to glean from the iReady instrument compared to STAR is just so much more impactful. And the other nice piece, while it's not the only solution, when it identifies gaps for students, the instructional component is actually something that you could do at home for extra practice. And it completely aligns with what the assessment is telling you. It's not required. We have very passionate opinions about not overusing the technology and putting kids on screens for too often. But for the parent who's looking for that little bit extra to support their child in closing gaps or enriching, high levels in literacy and math, this is kind of the now what we finally have with iReady. Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. Well, Andy's gonna talk about it too, and probably will be a good segue from what I'm about to say. So the iReady diagnostic, since I piloted it, I was able to do it. So we did the diagnostic first. I also did the STAR assessment with my class. We then moved on to the iReady diagnostic. My own children use the iReady diagnostic, and that was my big reason why I didn't want to do it, because I didn't like the way that their district rolled it out. And they only use the online component. It seems now that I know everything that I know about this program, so silly not to use the whole thing. Once I was able to see the results of the diagnostic, it is broken apart into every single skill of a good reader. I know so much more clear and concise measurements of what my kids are able to do rather than the STAR assessment that really just shows where they fall within our class group. Are they a red? Are they a green? Are they a yellow? Do they need more intervention? The iReady diagnostic actually is driving my instruction. And it's also building a path for each child to go on, like Amy said, at home, in the classroom, not an exorbitant amount of time, because I was one of those people that said, no computer all the time. And it's actually building, they're going, when they log on, every child's path is different, and it totally supports their learning and where they are in that moment. So I found so much great things about that.
One more thing before I ask Annie. You probably said most of the things on your side, I'm sorry, Annie. But when we were talking about finding a new way to do F&P, so there's a running record, we kind of figure out grade levels based on an older product, F&P. We had very, we'll call it passionate conversations again, about really ensuring that iReady isn't the only measure for our students, right? Our teachers know our students. iReady is one piece of the puzzle, and that was very important to build into our implementation plan. So we're not going to rely on this instructional component only. We're not going to rely only on these test scores. It is our professionals and their professional judgment, understanding our kids in a very personalized way, putting all the pieces together and sharing them with families. Okay, Annie.
I'm Annie Warm. I'm one of the learning specialists at Education BOE. So when it comes to family support resources, one of the things that Kinetic Reading offers are family letters, and these are intended to let families know what's going on in the classroom. Then there comes seasonal family literacy challenges, which are for the upper grades, 3 through 5. These are activities to help students grow their learning in literacy at home. And some of the materials even include hands-on approach, so it's more engaging, interactive for the home setting. And then for my last two bullets, iReady data and iReady personalized instruction. Heather and Amy did touch on it, but 3 times throughout the year, students take a diagnostic assessment, and that creates a personalized learning path for each student. And the reason why it connects to family support resources is because just like in the classroom, they're able to take that personalized path and like do it at home as well.
So Curriculum Associates has been amazing with their level of support. We've had tons of PD that we've gotten to do because we piloted, but also anytime you email them, I get an answer immediately. And if they don't know the answer, they refer me to someone who does. So to a teacher who's struggling with something or who needs something on the fly, I like that. But it's really, their mantra is that they believe that all students can become skilled readers. This is the best way to get them there. It is explicit, it's systematic, and it's evidence-based literacy instruction. It's their body of research. We could go on and on about it, but it is grounded in that reading is a science, and kids learn how to read through these measures. And the beliefs of the magnetic reading is that it's designed to take every student from foundational skills to reading fluency. When my colleagues came in, they asked my kids, what are you doing? Why do you like it? And they wanted to show all the things that they were learning. I taught first graders things I have never taught first graders. And I've been teaching first grade for a long time. So it's robust without being overwhelming. The kids just love it.
So you want to talk just a little bit about the efficiencies that you found?
Oh God, yes. So as everybody's been saying, we have had a piecemeal approach for a little while now. Luckily, we work with a lot of amazing educators who don't stop until they find what works best for their kids. So with that being said, we also knew that we needed something that was going to be collaborative across the grade levels and that everybody could use, that was friendly and also not overwhelming to a new teacher. I mean, I can go in with my 20 years of experience and in whatever I think is best because I can do that. But a new teacher can also follow the program and have it be just as effortless and have the same results that I would after teaching for 20 years. We also found it, where was I going with that?
Because the word work is in the
Oh,
reading.
right, sorry. So our the kids don't have a ton of big books. They have one little book that they use. There's 2. So in my first grade, there's a foundational book, which works on phonics and early literacy instruction. And then there's another book called Ready Reading, where we're doing comprehension, vocabulary development, grammar. My kids learned about Elizabeth Cady Stanton last week, and it was amazing. But we also, the ease of it. Well, I'm getting in, I'm getting out, and I'm not doing 3 different things to meet their needs. So when we're learning it, we were using Haggerty, secret stories, science of reading, word work, foundation, kind of anything that we were reading about, we were, let's try this, and luckily Dennis and Amy go, all right, and they just kind of let us go with it. But we finally got to a place where this has everything all in one place. And the amount of time it's actually freed up during my instructional day is wonderful because then I'm adding things, like I said, that I might want to do or special projects, like Caitlin mentioned, that we can now fit in and work on more of our PYP, things like that, and those projects and all that project-based learning that we love to do anyway, there's more time for that because everything is so concise and consistent within the program.
That's great, and that saves money too, like with the ed tech committee, I was wanting to look for what we're spending on software to check for redundancy, and that's a perfect example, so that's
It makes
great.
so much sense to use the diagnostic and program together. It doesn't, it's all there for us.
So these are some young learners from Mr. Rico's class, and they are taking an instructional diagnostic. And it's so short, but so sweet and intelligent. Oops.
Let's see. I'm gonna study with the kindergarten.
What do you think, Lily?
Oh, that's good.
Super. What do you mean when you said it was too much?
It's because I keep clicking on the right things, and I don't say that there's rain.
Oh, they're coming.
What happened? I have rain.
Do you like this one?
Tell me more.
She can't.
I'm winning.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
So that's them sitting down for a standardized test.
I have a question. Do you have a handwriting program that goes along with it? Is there a handwriting program?
It has kindergarten can probably speak to it a little bit more because they have a little bit more, it's more robust than in first grade. We did talk about adding the boundaries that we use for recommendations with the skyline, the grass line, because they do have the dotted lines that are developmentally appropriate for young kids. But they didn't have the specific boundary lines, so we thought about adding that, but handwriting is part of it, yes. And first grade has the study review, as in kindergarten, the short probably approaches it so much more.
Right,
But
but
first
if
grade
it
has
still
it.
uses foundations, or it does that actually have their own?
It replaces foundations, yes, and it's more integrated, so the sounds that are practicing are found in the reading, are found in the reading, and so there's a lot of efficiency there. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is my slide, so don't take many. So a few things, really quick. I would just want to point out two of our other members of our committee are present in the audience. Donna McInerney and Mary Ann Minerick gave us more perspective at the beginning. I mean, when we tell you we had this throughout the entire building, it was being like, we were breathing it together. E&L was part of it, special education was part of it. Our special area teachers were familiar with the components of it and starting to hear more about it. Donna with the diversity lens that she brought from her committee, and Mary Ann from speech, and trying to really get a robust, holistic view to determine, because from the start, and Heather was the one that probably fought me the most on this, she said, just to be clear, 1,000 times, if we don't find the perfect thing, we stay the course with what we have right now. Because what we have is not broken. And I want that to be clear to the parents. We're not failing your kids right now. Our group has done all of the heavy lifting to learn what really best practice in literacy instruction is, to be able to take on a heavy lift like this and know at the end of the day that it truly is the right thing for kids. Okay, that was the first thing I want to point out. Second thing, really quick, for the community, when we did our math program, year one implementation, it's a grind for parents, it's a grind for kids. Year two alone, and for teachers, absolutely.
Yes.
Year two alone, you're already starting to feel that breath of fresh air, where you're familiar with the program. It may not be perfect, but there's that comfortability. So just understand that come year one, there is that possibility that there's going to be hiccups along the way. That is a very natural, organic part of the process when you're implementing a new program. So just wanted to put that out there as a caveat. And that comes with the learning of the connection between the literacy program and the new report card. So those go hand in hand as well. We're all going to learn through that process and fine tune as we go, right? Next thing. Where was I? Oh, the last part, okay. This group, I can't speak enough about the dedication of both of the groups that presented tonight. The fact that they were so passionate about this, that we said, you're working too hard, and they said, we want to do more, is ridiculous in the world of education. You don't find that anywhere. So I really can't thank them enough for their work, because it wasn't just the things that were happening when we were here in the room together. They were at home finding their own resources on their networks of social media and all of these things, and verifying and like validating things that they're saying, not to just say, I saw this on Facebook, so it's got to be true. No, we didn't hold true to that. They were truly unbelievable throughout the entire process, so dedicated to make sure that it was the right thing. And we're confident that we're saying that because we know that what we have is solid, it is strong, but we feel like this next step is a very necessary part of the process. It's a really strong thing that we feel like is best for our kids. And thank you.
And Mr. Ritchie, Ms. Jackson, and I just want to thank the board for your willingness to empower the teachers to make these decisions and bring these recommendations for you. For number one, the adoption of a bright and shiny new elementary report card, as well as a very comprehensive program for literacy K through 5. So thank you.
Well, any questions?
For me, I think it's nice to see like how passionate everybody is. Like, you can't, you can openly walk in a room and feel like when people are like this, right? And for a school to be committed to that improvement, I think you guys should be commended for, which is awesome. Because on our end, it's like how do we fit it in and make sure we're financially fit it in appropriately so that it's built in for 5 years, so that our academic goals grow. So for me, I'm pretty excited to hear the excitement within the voices, so I appreciate that.
And I just have like one question. I really want to geek out with you all. You were talking my language, writing notes, so I wish I could come and like hang out with you. And I'm respectful of everybody here. But like my one concern, I guess, is I know you might be testing it with teachers who have lots and lots of experience, and you might be testing it with teachers who have very minimal experience, and you also been testing it with teachers who may not have lots and lots of digital literacy experience too, and what kind of level of support. I heard you say that they're very receptive. Or is it a tiered approach with their customer support, and just what are we purchasing in terms of that, and making sure that they're going to provide a level of support we need for all of those levels pedagogically and also from a technical standpoint as well.
So should the board support these recommendations, the plan is this spring to professionally develop the entire faculty on just the pedagogy and the feel of the program, and to send them home with their teacher guides. And we hope they never open them because it's summer vacation, but they just feel better that they're in the corner of their room somewhere and they have them just in case there's a literacy emergency.
So everybody's also come and looked at them anyway. So
Yes.
I have, they've come into our rooms to piloting and they've all looked at them that way.
And my grades are full, they're how many would come in again, and see more, and I'm like, all right, next week. So they're all excited.
Yes, and I think, it's really hard to start in the fall anticipating something new. So it's very important to us that in the spring, we familiarize our staff. We don't give them too much because it is a very busy time of year, but just enough so that they feel comfortable that when they walk in the fall, it's not going to be this enormous lift. And then there are tiered levels of professional development. There's in the fall, the where to click to find is very important, and we need to do that very close to when instruction starts. And then it's followed by like model coaching days. So a professional developer comes in, they meet with our grade level, they teach a lesson for our grade level observes that lesson, and then they debrief and they really understand the intricacies of the program.
Yeah.
In addition,
we have the PD, so I can speak to it a little bit, but it's broken up in a way that is very teacher friendly. So we have one PD on just the diagnostic alone and what to expect and how to look at the results and what to do with it.
Conducive, like testing
Oh my
environment,
gosh.
what to say to the
Yes.
children.
They even give you slides and videos that go with it that you can play beforehand so the kids know what they're about to do. Super cute, there's characters, But anyway, and then we had a whole day of just the ready reading portion, and then a whole day of the foundational reads. And then we were able, like you said, to debrief afterwards, which is always so painful when we get to talk to each other. But they really scaffolded it in a way that's very easy for us to unpack. It never felt overwhelming to me.
And they have about a 10-minute response time.
Yes,
So we
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
there was actually a technical issue, and someone was able to figure it out, and we realized other people were having the same issue, and they contacted the company, and ultimately they were able to fix the problem for them and help them get through it. Great.
And the fact that we did the pilots the way that we did them as well, there is currently at least one, we'll call it a quote, expert in the field, on a degree, who has experienced it, lived it themselves. And I don't know if this is unanimous, but we also gave the teachers the grace that if you had the program that, whether you piloted either program, you had the autonomy as a teacher to be able to continue your pilot throughout the remainder of this school year if you were that confident in it. So you could continue to grow in it and be more knowledgeable about the program. So going into next year, you're gonna have at least one person on every grade. That person might change, just saying. Just saying. No guarantee that you're going to pilot it on a grade, because I have to get that out there. But it gives us a little bit more confidence going into next year, knowing that there's experts in the building that you can tap into if you do have.
As well as in special ed, right? We had some special ed.
Yeah, we do CC classes, they pretty much learn them at 12:01.
Does it go up to 7th grade? Because I heard middle school.
It currently goes up to 6th grade for the literacy program and K through 8 and even into the high school for the instructional diagnostic and the instructional component.
Yeah, because we still have those kids on that STAR assessment that below graded reading level, so we can kind of still work that.
So thank you for bringing that up. The one piece that we may have missed in this, because we have all elementary colleagues here, is now we have to share with the middle school, right? So we have STAR K through 8, and we're suggesting we switch to iReady K through 5. And we wanted, and we've been collaborating with Dr. Reggio to find a day where our passionate educators from Clayton Huey can talk with the middle school educators and really articulate what they're excited about, and afford the middle school colleagues the opportunity to also see if they would like to transition immediately, if we want to kind of hold the transition and maybe do it over time. But that is in the works.
The data was
to do
transferred
this.
grade level to grade level, right? So that's the beautiful part that we always lose, and that would help Ms. Scott with special ed if we have gaps.
Absolutely.
They can be identified, so it's not cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually really good to see that this process was so engaging and rewarding for everyone involved, and it looks like it involved a lot of people. And you know, the results promise really improved outcomes for our kids. That's wonderful. One thing that kind of puzzles me a little bit, not being an educator. So we're going from STAR to iReady, and we've seen with STAR already some good evidence that things are improving, moving in the right direction. But now with this transition, there'll be this discontinuity of the results. So what does it mean, or how do you interpret a year from now, let's say, or whenever we've implemented that, how do you compare to where we were a year ago with STAR? What does that mean for the people that are?
So in addition to our screeners individually, we do subscribe to a product called Right Reason Technology, and it's a data warehouse on each of our students. And so back when we were doing our social emotional learning screeners, when we have reading levels, when we have the STAR assessment, the iReady assessment, it's sort of the state assessments, thank you. It lists the student's name and all of those individual data points. And we also set cuts so that it color codes the data. So that a teacher can open that up and at a glance kind of say, ooh, you know, Marcus is all in the green, so he's probably okay, maybe I should recommend him for like an enrichment group, you know, when we're doing that. Ooh, I see that this student's really struggling here, but they're kind of okay here. And it allows them to have like a more holistic picture and really inform our MTSS process. So I guess the short answer is that STAR information will still be valuable. It will be phased out over time for much more valuable information, but it's not a waste. It will follow the students and be helpful in the upcoming years.
And they're both, they're both similar. They're both diagnostics. I don't feel like phasing out the STAR and putting in the iReady would give any change to me as the educator. I actually get more information from the iReady diagnostic than the STAR anyway. So, and it actually can drive my instruction more than the STAR assessment does. And it also goes with the path of learning for each individual child. So I actually think it's going to be better in the long run as far over the STAR.
And going back to Amy's point about the RRT, so not only can you see your whole class at a glance, but if you wanted to, if you're a 5th grade teacher, let's say, you can go and click on one individual student and it will pull up their historical profile over years. So that way you can see not only to compare the STAR versus the iReady historical data, but you can also compare all of their other academic metrics to see like, well, it seemed like their F&P scores were increasing, but they were really low on the STAR, and then all of a sudden they're soaring on the iReady. When we look at that data too, it's just important to know, all that does is give us a moment of pause to reflect. It doesn't necessarily change immediately our approach, it just says, that's curious, what do I want to do with that information? And then we figure out the next steps. Or, that's not what I'm seeing in class, like let me dig deeper into that. Am I paying close enough attention to that child, or is the assessment needing a little off and the kid just rushed through? There's also actually metrics built into iReady. They flag it if a kid is just abacadabra going through the whole thing. It'll send the teacher an alert to see that you might want to reassess this because it's not an accurate assessment.
It also sends flags if they're on their individual path and they had trouble with something and couldn't pass to go on to the next activity, it lets us know too. So we can go on with them and actually troubleshoot and figure it out.
So if they were home working on a pathway and they continually struggled, there's an alert sent to the teacher. They know that they were struggling at home and they can immediately help support with those challenges. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your.
Thank you. All right, we have one more presentation, which is the budget presentation, number 4, that will be delivered by Tucker.
Teachers don't have to stay if you don't want to. I'm not offended. I'm used to everyone leaving once I start.
Actually, it's the first slide.
I wasn't going to say that, because the budget is very important.
This is a very important topic that we have tonight, and I will be quick, as you all know, I can try to get through these quickly. It's really just a recap of our budget process that we've been doing over the past few months now. But it was, it really is to show now the support for what all of you guys have been working on the past couple of years, and how we'll be supporting it in the budget for next year. So, we'll quick go over the 25-26 revenue, the 25-26 expenditures, and then just again recap the capital reserve proposition that we have moving forward on the ballot for May. So with regards to revenue, our state aid is getting a 2% increase as of now. The governor has not released the updated budget. It is not on time. It was due April 1st. There was an extender through today. They will be meeting again to extend it again tomorrow. And there really is no end in sight. We're not sure when we're going to get that. Budget must be adopted by Friday. So we're kind of at a point we have to go with what we have. And that's the 2% increase on foundation aid. And our maximum levy with all exclusions is 2.95%. Our total budget to budget increase is just over 2%. So with regard to expenses, this is just showing a comparative of where we are in the 24-25 cycle versus the budget for next year. As you can see, salaries is our biggest component of our budget, and they are increasing, and that's just based on contractual increases for everybody's collective bargaining agreements. Transportation is remaining fairly steady as CPI has leveled out. Our contract for that increases by CPI in May, so we don't know what it is until June. So we have to budget off of what the trend of CPI has been over the past 6 or 7 months. But we are pretty much at a steady point with where we believe that will come in. Again, benefits fairly steady, and that was briefly because in January, our night shift rates did not increase for our active employees. So that was, I think, for the first time, at least ever in my career, that has happened. And we're not sure, though, what will happen in the future. So we do account for an increase, but because of that flatness in 6 months' time, our benefits are seeing a little bit of a decline from what we budgeted in the current year. Our debt, again, remains steady. That's approved debt from prior years that the voters have approved for capital projects we've done in the past. Our BOCES expenditures are going up. That's contractual obligations. BOCES sets their budget. And the programs that we use from them, fees just go up by certain percentages, as well as our enrollment for our students with special needs population will fluctuate and drive some of that budget as well. And then our contractual and our supplies lines are going down, again, just based on the programs that we're using, changes that we're making, and some cost savings that we're seeing in various areas.
Karen?
Yes.
It's a little hard to read off the bar chart. I know I'm never satisfied, right? I say I want to see pictures and then give me pictures and I want numbers. Can you give us a feel for the salary increase, how big that is?
The increase itself?
Yes. It's like $1.5 million, 2 or 2.
Off the top of my head, I don't have that number. I've been playing with a lot of numbers today. But I can certainly put it into the budget hearing. I actually have a pie chart that we'll share out in the budget hearing to show what percentages of it is, and we can show the exact increase on that as well.
Right. I'm just noticing that it looks bigger than the numbers on the previous page, 2-3%.
Yeah, salaries do tend to go up about 3% or so because it's the conglomerate of the entire district. So it's not just one collective bargaining group, teachers, which is our largest group. This also includes our custodial staff. We have paraprofessional staff, our office staff, administrators, as well as our other expenditures that regard to salary. So extra period pay or chaperoning, our security staff, we did pull back into that line also, keep that in mind.
Right.
That was in the contractual line prior, so that is now in there as well. And then, chaperoning, all of those things are all part of that number. That has a contractual increase as well.
So that last year was in the contractual and supplies code
Yes.
security?
And that should
Split
go
over.
back down, shifted back over to the salary line. So this is what's called the three-part budget. Back, if you look at the first presentation we did, Budget Workshop 1, we spoke about what the three parts are, administrative, instructional, capital. And this is just showing you again that almost 80% is our instructional component of our budget. That is what we're here for, to educate children, and that's where most of our money is spent. Capital is in regards to our buildings, our facilities, our utilities, our debt. And then administrative is all those other things that are not directly related to teaching our children, not just administrative staff, but it is our insurance for the district. It's all the benefits that relate to our administrative staff, as well as all the clerical staff falls into that line. Any supplies and contractual items that are not educational related, such as our software programs that we use for the administration or for running the district or for some of our teachers as well, will fall into those components. So again, just a quick breakdown of the three components of the budget. So our total budget proposed for 25-26, $55,257,281. And again, this is a budget that is within our allowable tax levy limit. So then the last piece is the use of capital reserve. We've been talking about this since day one that we started the budget process. In fact, we've been talking about this, I feel like, for the past year and a half since we've been talking about a bond. We established in May of 2022 a capital reserve. Thank you to the voters for helping us establish that. Where the total reserve can go up to $5 million, and that money is used by surplus at the end of each school year. So it is not a budgeted line item, it is not an expense in the budget. It is once that we close our books at the end of the year, if we have revenues over expenditures, and then we hit our 4% of unallocated fund balance, we then can put money into other reserves. And this is now one of those reserves to help us do work within our facilities. And by doing this, this allows us to go back to our voters and say, hey, we now have money that we've set aside through savings, and we need to do some capital improvements within the building. But voters, can we please use this amount of money for this specific project at no cost to you? And in addition, we'll now receive building aid. So our building aid ratio is about 78%. So once we spend money from that capital reserve, over 15 years, we'll get 78% of that spread out over the course of 15 years. And again, no cost to the taxpayers though. So it's money's already put into a savings account. The caveat is voters have to approve us to create the account. Voters have to approve us to spend the account. So we do have a proposition coming forward, and again, it is for the auditorium. I don't think, especially in this room, much explanation is needed as to why we need to put money into the auditorium. But this is, so back in the bonds, we had put in a proposal for a full cut and replacement of the auditorium. Millions of dollars. We now are back to the drawing board and saying, okay, bond support is successful. What is another option? We have money in capital reserve. How can we give the auditorium a facelift? Here's another way to do that. And we've been piecemealing. I've worked with a lot of the vendors over the summer and the fall to come up with a budget to get cost estimates of what we're looking at in order to brighten up the auditorium and fix a lot of things that are broken in there. So it's about a $1.2 million project. There are some contingencies in there. Sometimes we start doing projects and we don't know what you're going to uncover. This budget is from the fall. Prices from the fall until when we actually do the project can go up. So we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of room in there for that. If we are approved in May by our voters, we would be submitting this to SED. through a third-party review, which expedites that process so that we can hopefully have a permit in hand in July and get that work done in August. No guarantees on any of that, but that is what our timeline and our goal is going forward. So our vote is on May 20th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and will be held at the high school library. Our budget hearing is on May 7th. I believe we're here in this building at 7 p.m. Where we'll a lot of this and a lot of things you've seen in past presentations at that meeting, we'll also go through a little bit more detail exactly what those additions are into the budget, such as the literacy program, some maintenance work that we're doing, machinery that we need to be buying and replacing, and any other exciting programs that we're offering into next year. So questions from the board as we are closing out the budget process?
So we do not have 5 million in the bank right now, but we can
Correct.
exceed 5 million.
Yes, we can put up to 5 million over the course of about 10 years. We have just over 2 million with the anticipation of putting some additional funds at the end of the school year.
Thank you.
Carrie, so this is more of a comment than a question, but I hope, it's hard from just a few presentations that we put up. I hope the community understands the challenge in generating budgets. So, you look at it and say, well, we got a 2% increase in state aid, and our enrollment is not increasing, and yet we're asking for 2.95% more taxes. That's hard, that's a difficult pill for this community to swallow. I've mentioned things like the combined wealth ratio, which is this number that the state generates to look at property values, the family incomes, and the fact is we're way down on that list. We're just above William Floyd, we're above districts of Wyandotte, HCI, Brentwood, right? And that's about it, and every other district in the county is doing better than us. So that gives you an idea of the financial challenges that a lot of our families are having to deal with. But if you look at the budget, there's nothing extravagant in here, and it's just a very challenging situation to come up with something that meets the educational needs of our students and is still respectful of the finance of the community. So I hope people look at this with an open mind and tell us that this is the way to go, because we're in a tight spot.
We are, and with the state aid being only 2%, so there was a whole foundation need study that was done, and thankfully we're getting 2% because there was a point where we were going to be frozen, and not to get that 600,000 would be detrimental to our programs because we do rely on our taxpayers. For a little bit of time there, we were on the up because we got our foundation aid reinstated, so we were getting a lot of money. We were able to continue and sustain program and build that fiscal stability going forward. And that's been through, the past couple of years of our long-term financial planning that we've been working towards. We also had a lot of the COVID money that came to us that helped us add programs, add supports for our students. With that planning that we've done the past 5 years, we've been able to also sustain those programs and those positions by adding them into the budget slowly and making sure we're using our monies and doing our finances to the best that we can, but being mindful of our taxpayers. We are, I want to say I think probably the highest levy request since I've been here at the 2.95%, but it really is needed in order to continue to maintain our programs and the best services for our students. So, just talking about a great literacy program, they're not cheap. It certainly is not cheap to run and implement these programs. We did a MAP program that was 2-year implementation of costs. Same thing will be with the literacy program. The vendors are working with us. Dr. Myers done a great job of negotiating with the vendors to get the price down and to see how we spread out the cost. The things she's been wheeling and dealing and trying to get for free for these teachers and the demos and the trials that they've been doing. It's important, but we also have to maintain them now going forward. And having that fiscal plan that we've been developing over the past 5 years and showing to the community, this is what we're doing. We're really doing the best we can to be mindful of the taxpayer and the tax dollar, but we're coming to a point where we really need to go to that maximum limit. We've not in the past, and we've left money on the table by doing that, and that money then compounds year after year. So we really have to make sure we're continuing to be fiscally prudent, but continuing to maintain the program for our students, not increasing our elementary class sizes to 30 students per class. We really have really put a focus on those things, and working together as a team, building these budgets. It's hard. It's not easy. I am grateful. This has been probably one of our easiest budget cycles. but because we've worked so hard the past 4 years to get to this point. Can't say in the future it will be still just as easy. There's, you're always gonna have hiccups along the way of things that will happen. But we've been fortunate in the planning that we've done in the past 4 years to get to a fairly easy cycle, but we do need to, be mindful of the taxpayers going forward as well. So yes, to your point, there's an ask there, but it's an important ask in order to continue and sustain the program. And then also continue to improve our facilities where there's quite a bit of pieces in there in this budget.
Yeah, we have a lot of areas where our buildings are desperate need of renovation.
Right.
We've had a couple of votes where people expressed that they can't spend that much.
So, through this process now, and, as you know, through Facilities Committee, we've been trying to get creative. What can we do? How can we work this out with our 5-year capital plan? And, we're starting to build more and more into our general fund budget as a result of the deadline. So, trying to maintain our facilities just for health and safety purposes alone. Never mind improvement, the capital reserve is going to help improve the auditorium, but that's also becoming now a health and safety issue. It is in disrepair, and that's just one area that we have to be aware of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions and comments regarding tonight's agenda only? This is the opportunity for persons who wish to speak or who have written letters to the board regarding topics that are included on this agenda. Speakers are asked to sign in with the district clerk prior to approaching the board, indicate your topic or comment, keep comments brief and to speak for no longer than 3 minutes. Members of the public will have the opportunity to speak about any topic at the end of the meeting. Is there anybody that wants to say regarding this agenda? No, there's a lot of stuff tonight. Okay.
I'll go for a second. So the Eastern Suffolk BOCES admin budget is voted upon by all board members throughout Suffolk County on one night. So tonight our board is asked to vote on their admin budget. So the recommended action, the Board of Education authorizes the district clerk to record the outcome of the vote and notify Eastern Suffolk BOCES of the results of the vote for the adoption of the BOCES admin budget. Be it resolved to approve or not to approve the 25-26 Eastern Suffolk BOCES admin budget. Do we approve or not approve?
Would be a motion. Motion. Maybe a second.
Second.
And then a roll.
All in favor?
Yes.
To approve.
Yes.
Okay, so Brian motion. Did Marcus?
Marcus, second.
Okay,
I just talked about it.
thanks. That was unanimous. There are 5 vacancies available in Eastern Suffolk BOCES Board of Education for the 25-26 school year. Therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education of San Rochester Union Free School District hereby casts 1 vote for each of the following candidates to fill a vacancy on the Eastern Suffolk BOCES Board of Education and authorizes the district clerk to record the outcome. The 5 candidates, I'll name them out loud right now, and then we will go ahead and decide if we would like to make a motion to elect all 5 of them. Linda Goldsmith of Oyster Palms, William Sang of Riverhead, Lisa Israel of Greenport, Kelly Ann Jennings of Patrick Medford, John Weich of Bridgehampton.
Motion.
Second.
Yes.
Thank you.
Consent agenda items. Be it resolved, a motion to approve the consent agenda items 9A through 16B.
Motion. Second.
Okay, discussion?
I would like to say a couple of things. So with us tonight, we have Mrs. Marissa Magnolia, and I have to give your family a tremendous amount of credit because they sat through almost 2 hours of presentations. I know that they're like sleepy, but they're very well behaved. So I've known Marissa now for 12 years. Marissa came to us back in 2013 as a math teacher. And I still remember being part of that interview process for her. I think from the beginning, Marissa, we were all amazed by your dedication, your confidence in the classroom, your knowledge of math, and your true love for students. in and outside of the classroom. I remember you being the advisor for 4 consecutive years. And everything that we needed, whether it was assistance with Regents examinations, AP exams, whatever we needed, you were always there for us. So it was very difficult for us to see you leave the classroom because you were such an amazing teacher. I still remember back in 2019, my son took pre-calculus. My son Nelson, who was a second-year law student. And he wasn't really doing too well at all. Math wasn't necessarily his greatest subject, but the care and time that you dedicated to him, and you pushed him through to the point that he did okay. He didn't go to AP calculus, but you showed him such patience and warmth that I never forgot that experience. So for that and for everything else that you've done for students, I am eternally grateful. So as administrators, we have 2 very, very important things that we do. One is that we hire the next generation of teachers. So we go through this arduous process of conducting interview processes, vetting through resumes, calling references. The other thing that we do is recommending tenure for individuals that we believe have done a stellar job. And Marissa, without hesitation, I think that you have grown tremendously, not just as a teacher, but now as an administrator. You have great compassion for students. You have a great collaborative spirit when working with teachers. You want to see the district move forward. You want to see your building move forward. You are at every event that the high school hosts. You are there from the beginning, you're there to the end. That means a tremendous amount to me. It means a tremendous amount to a board, to the community, to parents, and you are in it for all the right reasons. So it is without hesitation that I strongly recommend your tenure as a high school principal at St. Richard's School District. Yeah.
Can I take a picture?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Marissa, can you just stand up here and take a picture with the board? And it's not official yet because the board actually has to accept my recommendation. You can motion. We actually have 2 more.
Yeah, we have some other.
We have other things.
Okay, so.
Just-
So-
No, no.
It's like, yeah.
Not-
We get excited.
Not excited, but-
I'm teasing you.
So we also have tonight 2 council professionals that are retiring for the district. There's Donna Perna and Patricia Stewart. So I'm going to say a few things about the 2 individuals. Donna Perna began a career with us in September of 1994 as a latchkey group leader, which was at the time champ. So I didn't realize that. That's what we called it as. From there, she moved into both in the CHAMP program and as a breakfast monitor, and eventually worked in nearly every capacity as a paraprofessional. From kindergarten classrooms, our middle and high school populations, and even alongside our nurses, offering care and comfort whenever it was needed. Donna described as colleagues as the ultimate professional, known for her warm smile, gentle demeanor, and the quiet strength she brought to every room. She has been a steady, compassionate presence for students and staff alike for over 30 years. As she retires at the end of the school year, we thank her for a career marked by grace, kindness, and deep commitment. She will be greatly missed, but the impact she made will remain with us for many years to come. So congratulations, Donna. the next individual that is retiring is Patricia Stewart. Ms. Stewart joined our district in 2007 and has been a valued member of our paraprofessional team ever since. She has also contributed her time and energy to our extended school year program, each summer supporting students with dedication and care. Patricia is known as someone who is flexible and always willing to go above and beyond. A true team player who could always be counted on to step in whenever she was needed. Patricia's positivity, reliability, and willingness to adapt have made her an asset to our school community. Her retirement marks the close of a chapter filled with generosity, professionalism, and a genuine passion for working with children. To Donna and Patricia, thank you for your years of service, your commitment to our students, and the example you've set for all of us. We wish you both health, happiness, and plenty of well-earned relaxation in your retirement.
One final thing, we would like to thank the PTO for their very generous donation of a backup hit and basketball net for the elementary school, so thank you so much, PTO. Now we can make it official. All in favor? Yes.
You ever see how many times people adjust the digits?
Everybody got the good smiles on their faces.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Close enough?
Yes, you. You realized there's a gap, and I was like, I can Photoshop right now. No, I cannot do that.
I think one more time, guys.
Okay. General public comment? Members of the public who desire to address or question the board on any topic related to board work are welcome to do so at this time. Speakers are requested to sign with the district clerk prior to approaching the board. Indicate your topic or comment, keep your comments brief, and to speak for no longer than 3 minutes. To appoint a spokesperson if the concern is a group concern, and to supplement the verbal presentations with written reports if necessary or desired. Informational items. The next Board of Education meeting and budget hearing and action meeting is Wednesday, May 7th. We had to change that meeting, so it's on Wednesday, May 7th. Executive session at 6 p.m. and action meeting approximately 7 p.m. here at district office. The school budget vote and election is Tuesday, May 20th in the high school library. The full hours are from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. School will be closed on Friday, May 23rd. No emergency or snow days were used in the winter of 24-25, so that is why we have the additional data. The PTO and Community Connections Committee meeting is going to be on Wednesday, April 30th at 6:30 p.m. in the Clayton QE cafeteria. So if anybody would like to attend that, please feel free.
And one last thing, on Saturday, the high school classes are all in their basketball. Big deal. 5:30 open, it's a very big deal. 5:30 p.m. open the doors.
Thank you. And in the back of the room, we do have flyers for the upcoming capital reserve proposition that will appear on the ballot. So it is just like an information brochure, so please take it as Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Congratulations again.